today I am going to start a new module which will focus on column bases. Now, a building or a industrial structure which which is undergoing load that has to transfer safely to the soil. So, this is also an important aspect, that how safely we can transfer the load on building or structure to the soil. So, this part is carried by the base, column base, right. Three type of column base generally we used. One is slab base, it is called, where load is little less, and then gusset base where load is high and generally when the moment is also coming into picture, eccentricity is coming into picture, and then another is grillage foundation. This generally nowadays we don't use, but still I will give a overview of grillage foundation also. So, this last module will consist of 2 lectures, and in 2 lectures I will try to cover these aspects. In fact, designing of slab base or gusset base or grillage foundation is almost similar type, and basically we have to distribute the concentrate load coming from column to base to soil. So, when the load is coming from column, that load has to transfer to the soil. How do we make it? First, generally what we used to do, we used to first make, say this is a column. Now, this column is resting on a base plate, which is called base plate, some plate, some thick plate we are going to put to disperse the concentrate load, say load is there, to disperse into this area. Then after that we are putting in a bigger area of concrete base, right, concrete block. So, this is steel plate and this is concrete plate, concrete block, right. So, then it will be transferred to the soil. So, in this way in generally we used to transfer. Now, how to join this column and this steel plate? This is one aspect. What should be the dimension of the steel plate so that the steel will be able to carry, that plate will be able to carry that much load? This aspect we have to see. Then what should be the dimension of the concrete block which should be able to carry that load which is coming from the steel plate, and then the dimension has to be decided on the basis of the soil bearing pressure. So, the concrete block dimension will be dimension in plan, that length and width of the concrete block has to be decided from the bearing pressure of soil. Similarly, the steel plate dimension has to be decided from the bearing stress of the concrete which we are going to use. So, in this way step by step we have to see in what way the load can be transferred safely to the soil. So, these aspects we will discuss, right. Now, first let us discuss on slab base, which is the simplest way to transfer the load from superstructure to substructure, from upper part to lower part, means lower part means to soil finally. Like a slab base consists of a thick steel base plate placed over a concrete base and connected to it through bolts. The base plate may either be welded to the stanchion or else may be to the column through cleat angle. So, through cleat angle we can make, stanchion will provide, and it may be welded, it may be bolted or riveted, whatever means as per the requirement, as per the availability, as per the advantage of the site condition, etc. We have to see what sort of connections we will be going to do, right. So, first let us see how does it look like. So, if we see in the side view or front view, it will look like this. Say if this is a column right? Now column is carrying a load, say P. Okay. Now on that we will put a plate, which is we generally term as base plate, right? Then we will put a concrete block, right? Now thickness of the concrete block, thickness of the base plate, all these things will be decided from the calculation that I will show, and this has to be joined through some cleat angle, right? Okay, so this is column, right, and this is base plate, and this is concrete block, right? So this is the concrete we are going to provide. Right. Now this will be connected through some anchor bolts. We may say this as anchor bolt, right? So dimension of those things will be decided during design of the system, right? In this way, the means if we see the front view, it will look like this front view. Okay. Now top view, if we see, this will look like this. So this is the, if we see, this will be base plate, right? So these are the concrete block. In top view I am trying to see, right? Okay, I am drawing this because this will be required for calculation. So let us draw in a final way. Now this is the column. Say column is placed like this, right? Say I column has been given. Now the size of the base plate will depend not only on the load but also on other factors like size of column and other things, right? So this is column. Now this is generally made by anchor block. Similarly in this side also it will be, right? Now this is the length of the concrete block and this is the width of the concrete block. This is concrete block and this is the base plate. In top view we are showing, right? Now this is, we know, is the size of the section, I section, we used to tell H, and this is the width of the flange, that is termed as B, right? And this is the column, right? Now the critical section will be here, say in 1 1, right? So this is critical section will lies here, okay. Similarly in this direction critical section is lies here. So I am giving this as 2 2 and this as 1 1, right, and let us make this distance as say A and this distance as say B. Let us turn back like this. Okay. Now force is there, so in this way we have to calculate. Now before going to calculation, let me show the overall diagram. That say suppose force and moment is coming from column, right. Now we have a base plate, right. So what will be the pressure will develop here? If I see, this will be a uniform pressure will develop, right. So with magnitude, this is P by A. If P is only there, right, and if area is this one, means area of this base plate, right. Now if moment also is acting, then we know that due to moment, again such type of pressure will develop, that is like this, right. So this will be m by z, right. So now if we add these two, means resultant will become either say like this, means P by A plus minus m by z, that will be sigma B, right, or sigma. The stress developed at any point will be like this. So stress distribution will be in this way, or if P by A is much more than m by z, then this will become like this. If P by A is greater, then this will be developing like this, right. So due to eccentricity of the load or due to development of moment, this will develop, right. Otherwise one another case may happen, just when P by A is equal to m by z. In this case, here in left side it will be 0, and here if P by A is greater than m by z, right, and here P by A is less than m by z, right. So there are three cases will develop. So in this way stress will develop. So when we will be going for design, what we have to see is that the maximum stress where it is going to develop. So maximum compressive stress is developing here, maximum tensile stress is developing here. So what will be the value, right? And in for these two cases we can find out the maximum stresses in this way, and we can make it, right. And we know that we can find out that P by A, if we means plus minus m by z is equal to sigma. If sigma is 0, that means P by A is equal to m by z, right. M by z means we can write P by z means 1 by 6 B T square, right. So if we divide P and A is equal to B T, then what will happen? So P by A is equal to P by A into say 6E by T, right. So we can write E is equal to T by 6, right. So critical condition is E is equal to T by 6, right. So that we have to see whether it is coming greater than T by 6 or less than T by 6. In this way we have to make it. Now let us see the diagram whatever we have made here, how to calculate the maximum stress coming and how to design the base plate and the concrete based dimension. That means first let us assume some parameters like say outer dimension of the column, as we told H and B, means if this is B and if this is H, so this outer dimension of the column will be H by B, and size of base plate let us consider as L by D, right, and the greater projection of plate beyond column let us denote as A, this one, and this position we are denoting as B, the lesser projection of plate beyond column, right, and T is the thickness of the base plate and W is the pressure of the base plate in MPa, and sigma Bs is the permissible bending stress in the base plate. So, these are the some parameter which will be required for calculation of the dimension of the base plate, right. Remember, this A and B is the projection of plate beyond the column, right. One is greater projection, means in greater direction, and another is lesser one, and T is the thickness of the base plate. Now, we have to find out L value, D value and T value of the base plate, right. So, what we will see, the bending moment at section 1 will become, because this will be W x square by 2, right. If we see W, if W is the uniformly distributed load, then W into A is this S square by 2, this will be the maximum bending moment here. Similarly, bending moment in this direction will be W B square by 2, right. So, W S square by 2. Now, the section modulus will become B D square by 6. Here B is nothing but we are taking a unit value, right. So, 1 into T square, T is thickness of the base plate as we told, by 6, that means T square by 6, right. So, section modulus we are going to find as T square by 6 and moment is developing as W square by 2. So, bending stress will develop sigma 1 is equal to M1 by Z, M1 is W square by 2 and by Z is coming T square by 6. So, this will become 3W square by T square, right. So, bending stress at the section sigma 1 will become 3W square by T square. Remember, here only concentrated load is applied, there is no moment, assuming only concentrated load on the column is applied, right. In fact, for base slab generally we use, means we use base slab only for concentrated load, and when the eccentricity will be there or the moment will come into picture, in that case generally we use the gusset base, and when the load is very high, okay, that will come later, right. That is why the pressure on the plate is coming W, which is uniformly distributed, which is nothing but P by A, right. So, in that way we will calculate, right. So, similarly in section 2 this will become M2 by Z, M2 will become similar way W B square by 2 and Z will become T square by 6. So, 3W B square by T square. So, bending stress at the section, at the critical section is becoming 3W square by T square in one direction, and in section 2 we are getting 3W B square by T square. Now, if mu is the Poisson ratio, then stress induced by the section 2 on 1 can be written as mu sigma 2, right. The stress induced by the section 2 on 1 will become mu into sigma 2. So, what will happen? Sigma value will become that sigma at section 1 minus sigma at section 2 means mu into sigma, because this is the stress induced on 1 due to the section 2. So, if we put those value, we will get the value like this, the 3W square by T square minus mu into 3W square by T square. Now, as per IS code, we will see the Poisson ratio is generally taken as 0.25. So, if we put the value of 0.25 in this equation, we will get this value, that is 3W square by T square minus 3W B square by 4T square, right. Now, if we equate this with the bearing capacity of the plate, then we will get sigma is equal to sigma bs is equal to this, right. This is the value of this one, 3w by t square into a square minus b square by 4, right. Now we can find out from this equation the value of t, thickness, right. So thickness will become square root of 3w by sigma bs into a square minus b square by 4, right. So thickness of the base plate can be find out from this. Okay. Now for solid round steel columns, the thickness can be expressed in this way, 10 into square root of 90w by 16 sigma bs into b minus b by b minus d0, right, where this capital W is total axial load in kilonewton, total axial load in kilonewton, and b is the length of side of cap or base in millimeter, and it has to be greater than 1.5 into d0 plus 75, 1.5 into d0 plus 75. What is d0? d0 is the diameter of the reduced end, if any, of the column in millimeter. d0 is the diameter of the reduced end, right, and sigma b is the shape bearing capacity of the steel, that is 185 ampere. As per Codal provision, this value of sigma bs is 185 ampere. Now the allowable intensity of pressure on concrete may be assumed as 4 Newton per millimeter square, because in general we assume 4 Newton per millimeter as allowable stress in concrete, allowable intensity of pressure in concrete, we assume this. Now when the base slab does not distribute the load uniformly, or where the slab is not rectangular, separate calculations shall be made so that stresses are within the specified limit. So whatever we have shown here, that thing will not happen if the slab does not distribute the load uniformly, or where slab is not rectangular, then we have to calculate accordingly, and if moment is there also, right. So case to case it may vary. The simplest case just we are showing here, right. Now this will be clear if we go through one small example. Whatever discussions we have done here, through that we will go through one example, then we will be clear, right. What is the example? That is, design a suitable base plate to carry an axial load of 2900 kilonewton. So axial load P is equal to 2900 kilonewton. The base plate rests on concrete of M15 grade concrete. The plate is resting on M15 grade of concrete. The column section is ISHB 350 at 67.4 kg per meter. So the column section size is given, that is ISHB 350, right. The shape bearing pressure on the column may be assumed as 4100 kilonewton per meter square, right. The shape bearing pressure on column may be assumed as 4100 kilonewton per meter square. What will be the depth of concrete base if shape bearing capacity of soil is 250 kilonewton per meter square, right. If shape bearing capacity of soil is considered as 250 kilonewton per meter square. So we have to find out the depth of concrete base, means the dimension of base plate and the concrete base, right. So with this data, let us try to solve this. So what we will do, as we know, the section whatever we are going to use for the column is ISHB 350. So the H value means depth of the column, means if this is the thing, then this will be 350 and B is 250, right. So area of base required, now area of base required, how much it will be? The load by area, the load by the shape bearing pressure, right. The column may be assumed, this shape bearing pressure on column may be assumed 4100 and load is 2900 kilonewton, right. So we can find out the area of slab base as 2900 by 4100, that is 0.7 square meter, right. Now assuming a square slab base, the length of each side will become square root of 0.7, that will be 0.836 meter, which can be made as say 840 millimeter, right. So let us provide a square slab base of dimension 840 by 840 millimeter, right. So as we know, this, if this is the column, then base plate we are going to provide as 840 by 840, right. Now we have to find out this projection A and B, right. So the greater projection A is how much it will be? 840 minus, this is 250, this is 840 and this is 250. So 840 minus 250 divided by 2, right. So greater projection, that will be 295 millimeter square, right. Greater position we can find out in this way. Similarly, in fact this should be named as A, capital A, right, because otherwise it will mix up, and the smaller projection say capital B, right. Capital B will become 840 minus 350 by 2, because in this direction what will happen, if base plate is 840 and if this is 350, then this will become 840 minus 350 by 2, and calculating this we will be getting 245. So we are getting A is equal to 295 and B is equal to 245 millimeter, right. Now the pressure below the base slab, we can find out what will be the pressure below the base slab, the load by the area of base slab. Load is 2900 kilonewton. So we are making Newton by 840 into 840. So this becoming pressure becoming 4.12 Newton per millimeter square. So pressure below the slab base is becoming 4.12 Newton per millimeter square, right. Then what will do? Other thing is the thickness. So thickness we can find out now, because now we know the pressure W is 4.12. So on that basis we can find out the thickness from the formula. If this is A and if this is B, we can write T is equal to square root of 3W by sigma Bs into A square minus B square by 4 is equal to square root of 3 into W is 4.12 and sigma Bs is 185, A is 295 and B is 245. If we put those values, we will get thickness T as 62 millimeter. So the base slab which we need to provide is 840 by 840 by 62 millimeter, right. So we can provide a base slab of 840 by 840 by 62 millimeter. So in this way we can find out the dimension of the base slab. Now what we'll do? Now we will find out the dimensions of the concrete base, right. So in case of concrete base, what we'll do? We can assume say 15% as self weight of the foundation. So total load will little increase, that is 1.15 W. 1.15 W means 2900 kilonewton. So 1.15 into 2900, that will become 3335 kilonewton, right. So area of concrete base will become 3335 by 250, because 250 is the allowable pressure. So 3335 by 250, that is 13.34 meter square. So area of concrete base is becoming 13.34 meter square. So length of each side of the concrete base will be required square root of 13.34 if it is a square block, so that is becoming 3.65 meter, right. Now assuming angle of dispersion of load at say 45 degree, then what will be the depth of concrete slab? Because you see, if the load is dispersing at an angle of 45 degree, then we have to find out the depth, so that dispersion happens properly, right. So depth of concrete slab will become say 3.65 minus 0.84. This is the length of the concrete base and this is the length of the base plate. So this by 2, that is depth of concrete slab will become 1.4, right. So provide a concrete base as 3.65 by 3.65 by 1.4 meter. So this will be the dimension of the concrete base. So in this way, very easily we can find out the dimension of the concrete block as well as the dimension of the steel plate to carry that much load. So what we are seeing here, that if we draw the final outcome, we will see this is a, so this is base plate, right, then this is, then this I am not going, later I will come, means how to make connections, right. So here it is P was there, this is ISHB 350, right. So this is becoming how much, 62 millimeter, and this is 1400, 62 millimeter. This is not in scale, 1400 millimeter, right, and this will be the 3650 meter concrete length and width, and base plate length and width will become 840 millimeter, right. Now we have to provide some bolt here, and here we have to provide some anchor bolt, right. Right. So in this way we can make it, and if we see in the plan, we will see in this way it is not becoming square, though it is square actually, means this is also 3650, right, and then okay. So this is the concrete block, and this is base plate, right. This is 840, similarly this is 840, right, and this is 3650 ISHB 350, right. So this is the outcome of the design for that load, right. Now we will discuss about gusset base, okay. When gusset base is used, when the load is too high and bending moment is present along with the axial load. Two type of gusset plate we used to design. One is axially loaded column, another is eccentrically loaded column. So as we told that in case of gusset base, generally load becomes very high, load coming from column is very high. One thing, another thing is the moment may present, means moment due to eccentricity will come into picture. So, to take care these two, we generally use gusset base. Let us see how it look like. So, this is a column, right, and this will be the base plate, then concrete block, right. Here we used to provide additional gusset plate here to take care the moment. Right. Now this is front view and this is the concrete block. Right, and critical sections will lie where? This will be in this. So, section 1 this will be the critical section through which we have to design, right. Now, here we can provide some bolt or rivet, right, and here also we have to provide some anchor block, right. This is if we see front view, and in side view we will see like this. Side view will be right, it will be now, sorry, this is the column, so this will be right, this is the column, right. So, this is the concrete block, this is side view, and this is column, just I will take some from here. Okay. So, this is column, this is steel plate, and this is concrete block, right. Now if we see the top view, it will look like this. If it is square, then top view will be looking like this. Right, and if I column is there, then it will come like this. This will be top view. Okay, and this portion is the overhang portion, which is called A. In fact, here whatever we have given name means from this critical section to this is A. Now in a gusseted base, a part of the load is transmitted from the stanchions through the gussets to the base slab. As you told, the gussets and stiffeners bear the base slab against bending, and therefore a thinner base plate can be provided. So the utility means advantage is that the gusset and stiffeners can bear the base slab against bending, and that is why the thinner base plate means thinner section of the base plate may be sufficient to carry that much bending and the load. That is why we use such type of configuration. Now in clause 5.4.1 it told that for stanchion with gusseted bases, the gusset plates, cleat angles, fastenings, etc. in combination with the bearing area of the shaft shall be sufficient to take the loads, bending moments and reactions to the base plate without exceeding specified stress. All the bearing surfaces shall be matching to ensure perfect contact. Right. So once again I am just telling which is written exactly in the code same language, that is for stanchion with gusseted bases, the gusset plates, cleat angles, fastenings, etc. in combination with the bearing area of the shaft shall be sufficient to take the loads, bending moments and reactions to the base plate without exceeding specified stresses. Right. Now if A is the length between the root of the angle and the edge of the base plate, then the cantilever moment MP means that for that hanging portion will become W square by 2. Right. The cantilever means this moment will become W square by 2 if W is the load, means uniformly distributed load is coming. Again in the earlier case, if we remember, in the same way we will do that section modulus Z is can be written as 1 by 6 BD square, and for a unit thickness we can take 1 by 6 into 1 into T square, right, where T is the thickness. So the moment will become AM is equal to sigma Bs into Z, where Z is T square by 6. M is equal to sigma Bs into Z. Moment carrying capacity is sigma Bs into T and developed moment is M, that is W square by 2. So equating these two equations we will get T, the thickness of the plate will be square root of 3W square by sigma Bs, square root of 3W square by sigma Bs, or we can write say T is equal to A into 3W by sigma Bs, right. T is equal to A into square root of 3W by sigma Bs, where W is the pressure coming in the plate and A is the cantilever portion that is hanging, and sigma Bs is the allowable bearing stress in plate, right, that is generally 185. Okay. Now the thickness of the plate should not be less than the thickness of the cleat angle, that we have to see. Whatever cleat angle we are going to use, we are going to use the cleat angle here. So this thickness of the plate should not be less than the thickness of the cleat angle, right. So that also we have to keep in mind when we will go for designing. Now when we are going for design, let us draw the diagram through which we will calculate the values. Say the column is in this way, it is kept. Right. Now as we know, this is called width of the flange B, and this is H, depth of the column means section, and this is say it is L, and this is say it is named as D. So this portion will become L minus B by 2, right, and this is the gusset plate, right. Okay. Now if we see from this view, this will become like this, right. Okay, and this is called root. Okay, and this is A, right. Now if we calculate the cantilever load on the gusset plate, then we can find out that the cantilever load on gusset plate FGC, if we term it, then half into WD by 2 into L minus B, half into WD by 2 into L minus B, right. So this will become, the cantilever load will become WD by 4 into L minus B, and moment in the gusset plate as a cantilever for the length of L minus B by 2 will become load into distance by 2, right. So WD by 4 means this will become WD by 4 into L minus B into this is L minus B by 4. So that will become WD by 16 into L minus B whole square. So moment in gusset plate will become WD by 16 into L minus B whole square. So in this way we can find out the moment, right. Now the some codal provisions we have to keep in mind while going for the designing, that the thickness of the gusset plate should not be less than 10 mm. The thickness of the gusset plate has to be at least 10 mm. That is the codal provision is given, so we have to keep in mind while going for designing. The base plate should be designed on the basis of bending moment on the projection beyond the gusset plate in case the gusset plate is welded to the base plate, in case the gusset plate is welded to the base plate. So this also we have to keep in mind. Now another thing is cleat angle. We have to design the cleat angle. Now how do we design? That is, the total force in the gusset plate is transferred to the cleat angle through bearing. We know total force is transferring to the gusset plate through bearing. So the bearing area of the cleat angle should be sufficient so that bearing stress does not exceed that specified stress, that is 185 MPa. So we have to ensure that the bearing area of the cleat angle should be sufficient so that bearing stress does not exceed 185 MPa. That also we have to ensure. Another thing is, the number of rivets connecting the cleat angle to the gusset plate should be same as the number of rivets connecting gusset plate to the column. That also we can ensure that the number of rivets connecting to the cleat angle to the gusset plate should be same as the number of rivets connecting gusset plate to the column, right. Now, we will discuss about the steps, design steps for axially loaded column. Okay. There are two type of, as I told, for gusset plate design. One is axially loaded column, another is axially loaded with moment, right. First, let us see the axially loaded, and in case of moment only the stress point of view it will be changing. So, little change will be there. So, if we follow the step by step design, then it will be means easy to make design process in a systematic way and to find out the desired design of the gusset plate, right. So, in first step what we will do, we will calculate the total load carried by the column. So, whatever total load is coming from the superstructure on the column, means column is also superstructure, means whatever total load is coming to the column, first we have to calculate, and also we have to assume allowable compressive stress in concrete. That allowable compressive stress, how do we assume? It depends on the grade of concrete, what type of grade of concrete we are going to use on that. Next, we can find out area of base plate, that is simply axial load by allowable compressive stress, means P by sigma, right, axial load by allowable compressive stress. So, in this way we can find out the area of the base plate. Now, in step 3 we can find the size of gusset materials. The size of gusset material can be assumed, and in this way we can find out the size of gusset materials. First is the assumed thickness of gusset plate should not be less than 16 mm. Assumed thickness of gusset plate should not be less than 16 mm. This is first. Second is the gusset angle is chosen so as to accommodate 2 rows of rivets in the vertical leg and 1 row of rivets in the horizontal leg, right. So, the gusset angle is chosen so as to accommodate 2 rows of rivets in the vertical leg and 1 row of rivets in the horizontal leg. So, 1 row of rivet will be in horizontal leg and 2 rows of rivet in the vertical leg. And generally we use an unequal angle. Unequal angle we generally use. The length of gusset material is normally kept equal to the length of base plate parallel to the flange of the column, right, parallel to the flange of the column, that we have shown in the picture. If we remember, you see this one, the length will be same with the gusset plate length, right. So, the length of gusset material is normally kept equal to the length of the base plate parallel to the flange of the column. Thus, the dimension of the base plate parallel to the wave will become how much? That is the depth of section plus 2 into thickness of plate plus length of angle leg plus overhang. So, in this way we can find out the dimension of base plate parallel to the wave. Dimension of the base plate means length or width of the base plate parallel to the flange of the column, parallel to the wave of the column will be depth to the section plus 2 into thickness of plate plus length of leg angle plus overhang. Now, overhang should be approximately 1 centimeter from the gusset angle, that also we have to also ensure that the overhang should be approximately 1 centimeter from the gusset angle. The dimension parallel to flange angle will become in this way, that A by L. The moment we are find out the value of L, we can find out value of B, because A we know, right. So, in step 4 what we will do? We will find out the intensity of developed compressive stress, intensity of developed compressive stress, and that will become W is equal to P by BL, right, where P is the load coming from the column and B and L is the dimension of the plate, right. So, in this way we can find out the intensity of the developed compressive stress. In step 5, what we will do? We will find out critical sections as it is lies in section 1.1 as shown in the figure. In figure we have shown where the critical section will develop, that at section 1.1 I have marked there. So, critical section will lies at section 1.1 and accordingly we have to find out the thickness, that is the minimum thickness required will be from this formula that we have developed already, that T is equal to square root of 3W square by sigma Bs, or we can write A into root over 3W by sigma Bs, right. So, thickness of the gusset plate, the minimum thickness required will be this, right. Here if the T dash is the thickness of base plate and T is the thickness at the critical section, will become thickness of base plate plus thickness of angle section. So, T dash will become T minus thickness of angle section, right. So, we can find out the value of T and we know thickness of angle section, then we can find out this T dash, the thickness of base plate in millimeter. So, we can find out the base plate details, that means dimension L, B and T dash, right. So, in this way we can make it. Now, in step 6 what we will do? In step 6 the connection are designed for forces to which column is subjected. Connections are designed for forces to which column is subjected. If the column ends and gusset materials are not faced for complete bearing, the fasteners are designed for the total forces to be transferred. If they are faced for complete bearing, then 50% of the forces are transmitted directly to the column and 50% through the fasteners. So, if they are faced for complete bearing, then 50% will be transmitted directly to the column and 50% through the fasteners, and if they are not faced, then the whole load will be transferred through the fasteners, right. The fasteners are designed for the total forces to be transferred. So, in this way we have to do. In step 7 what we will do? The rivet value is computed in single shear and bearing, assuming the diameter of the rivet. So, we can find out the rivet value, whether it is single shear, means it will be single shear and in bearing, and we have to find out the rivet value. Rivet value, how do we find out? We know the lesser of these two, right, and then we can find out the number of rivets. So, number of rivets will be N is equal to that P dash by RV, where P dash is the force on the fasteners and RV is the rivet value. P dash is the force on the fasteners and RV is the rivet value. Now, what will be the value, whether 50% or full, that will be depending how it is faced, how it is assumed for designing, right. So, in this way we can compute the number of rivet, right. Next what we will do? In step 8 we will find out that these rivets are provided to connect the gusset plate with the column flange. These rivets are provided to connect the gusset plate with the column flange. The height of the gusset plate depends upon the number of rivets to be placed. Height of the gusset plate will be depending on the number of rivets to be placed. So, we will decide the gusset plate height on the basis of number of rivets, and we have to give minimum pitch, minimum edge distance. So, in this way we will find out finally the height of the gusset plate. In step 9 what we will do? In step 9 we will find out that the same number of rivets are provided to connect the gusset plate with the gusset angle. Whatever we have found the number of rivet, that same number will be provided to connect the gusset plate with the gusset angle, right. And in step 10, to keep the column in position, nominal size of the rivets are provided on the horizontal leg of the gusset angle, right. To keep the column in position, nominal size of the rivets are provided on the horizontal leg of the gusset angle. So, these are the steps which we have to follow for designing a gusset base. So, the design steps of both the cases we have told. So, only we couldn't solve the example of gusset base, which we will do in next class, and I think then it will be clear. So, with this I like to conclude today's lecture. Thank you very much.